Clues.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown at the scene of the homicide.
Even more details are being revealed about the suspect in the murder of a healthcare CEO, where fingerprints were found at the crime scene, and the disturbing plans police say they discovered inside a notebook naming the victim. And a former classmate tells us about the version of Mangione he knew and whether he's surprised by the arrest. Plus, FBI Director Christopher Wray announces his resignation. This weeks after President-elect Trump nominated a replacement, Kash Patel, who made the rounds on Capitol Hill today with other cabinet nominees, attempting to gain enough support. And tonight, we're taking a closer look at another pick, Linda McMahon, once CEO of a family wrestling empire who could soon be tasked with a campaign promise to dissolve the Department of Education. What changes could she bring to the agency? And
everything's stinking. They're not around.
I'm pregnant.
what? Bonds are tested when a group of sisters become suspects in the murder of one of their husbands. Actress and co-creator Sharon Horgan tells us how Bad Sisters is bringing more drama and comedy to the 2nd season of the hit series. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with new developments in that murder of the healthcare CEO. Tonight, the NYPD says they now have forensic evidence tying suspect Luigi Mangione to the crime in Midtown Manhattan. And sources tell ABC News Mangione's family has started to speak with investigators. Tonight, Mangione remains in a Pennsylvania jail after that angry outburst on his way to court 24 hours ago when he refused extradition to New York. But the NYPD is tightening its case. It's already say fingerprints found on a water bottle and a snack bar wrapper near the scene of the murder match Mangione's. The NYPD has also taken possession of the ghost gun found in Mangione's backpack. Police say it matches 3 shell casings recovered at the scene. That's in addition to a spiral notebook with a 3-page handwritten document, which detectives consider to be a confession. We're standing by to hear exclusively from a high school classmate of his. But first, ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky leads us off.
As a completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
Accused killer Luigi Mangione may be fighting extradition in Pennsylvania, but investigators are building a murder case against him in New York. And tonight they say they have their first forensic match. From fingerprints on a water bottle and snack bar wrapper near the crime scene to the ghost gun police say was used to murder UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown at the scene of the homicide.
Detectives also now have what they consider to be a confession, a spiral notebook that sources say contains plans for how to kill Thompson. What do you do? One passage allegedly read, you whack the CEO at the annual parasitic bean counter convention. It's targeted, precise, and doesn't risk innocence. Mangione's lawyer tells ABC News his client will plead not guilty, and he has seen none of this evidence.
That's one of the many reasons why we're challenging the extradition at this point, so we can see some evidence and get a little more detailed information about the charges against Luigi.
Tonight, sources tell ABC News Mangione's family has started talking with investigators. His mother filed a missing persons report with police about 2 weeks before the murder. Mangione was valedictorian at a prestigious boys' school. His former classmates are now trying to make sense of it all.
I've still been in a little state of disbelief that this kid that I knew from high school 8 years ago is now the most high-profile killer, allegedly, in the country. I would never have had anything bad to say about him.
But now the NYPD is alarmed the alleged killer is seen by some as a martyr, inspiring these wanted posters outside the New York Stock Exchange with the names of other corporate executives. A new law enforcement bulletin obtained by ABC News includes this image of a banner invoking the words found on the shooter's bullets. The bulletin warns many social media users have outright advocated for the continued killings of CEOs, with some aiming to spread fear by posting hit lists.
What do you make of people celebrating the murder of Brian Thompson, or someone who sees in the suspect someone to take inspiration from?
Celebrating this conduct is abhorrent to me. It's deeply disturbing. And what I would say to members of the public, people who, as you described, are celebrating this and maybe contemplating other action, that we will be vigilant and we will hold people accountable. We are at the ready.
A number of officials concerned about copycats. Aaron Katersky joins us now. Aaron, what else are prosecutors telling you about the public's reaction to Mangione?
Well, they are concerned, as you heard reflected there by the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, about how the suspect, is being perceived, especially after that outburst outside of court 24 hours ago, Linsey. So they're prepared to take any threat seriously. The district attorney is also determined to make sure he builds a case to prosecute him once he arrives here in New York. Linsey?
Aaron Katersky for us here in New York City. Thanks so much, Aaron. We're joined now exclusively with someone who knew Luigi Mangione. Hari Menon was a former classmate who knew him from the high school's robotics team. Hari, thank you so much for talking with us tonight. You've seen in the yearbook at the robotic competition with Luigi looking over his shoulder there. How would you describe him at that time?
He was that's a good question. He was like a super nice upperclassman, you know, very competent. I don't think our club would have gotten very far without him. It was him and the other senior that were there that were kind of keeping the club together. He was super happy to help out, pretty goofy, you know, and very smart. Probably my top things to say about him.
Mangione was valedictorian at your school, a couple of years older than you. Would you say that you and your other classmates looked up to him?
Yeah, I could definitely say that, yeah. We definitely wanted to be as good at like coding for the robot and designing the robot as he was. So he was a person that I think a lot of people look up to.
You also spoke with Luigi during his first year of college. Did he seem like the same guy that you'd known all along?
Yeah, it was pretty brief, but at that time, nothing really out of the ordinary. He was a pretty cool guy from what I remember before.
Have you heard from any other classmates who've seen him perhaps more recently or saw any signs, or would you say that your friends are all surprised?
I think it was a huge shock to everyone that I know. I remember the day the news broke, like I was getting texts from people who went to Gilman with me, people who didn't. Everyone was asking if I knew him. I think it was very unexpected for everyone involved to think that he would be involved in that.
When you first saw the photos of the suspect circulating, did you think this person looks familiar to me?
No, honestly, at the beginning, I had no idea. I mean, I didn't see any association at all initially, so not really.
What was your first reaction when you realized that he'd been arrested for this crime?
It was quite shocking. I mean, to be honest, everyone I know was completely caught off guard by that. And then, you know, obviously there have been the memes and everything going everywhere. It's just been like a huge shock. I think everyone in Maryland, at least that I know, has been completely caught off guard.
How would you describe him? I mean, most of this country has a lot of intrigue really into who he is. Would you say he was kind of an introvert, extrovert? How would you explain him to people who've never met him?
He was someone who I think got along really well with like everybody. I think from high school at least, because that was my last experience, I didn't know anybody who had anything bad to say about Luigi. He was always pretty funny, pretty carefree, and pretty smart as well. Like I didn't ever have anything I could come to him, like when we were in robotics, like there was nothing that he couldn't help out with. So he was just a person who I looked up to quite a bit, and he was a really cool guy at the time.
Hari Menon, we thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a nice day.
FBI Director Christopher Wray told his staff that he will resign at the end of the Biden administration next month, with nearly 3 years still left in his 10-year term. Though President-elect Trump himself appointed Wray during his first term, he has made very clear that he would replace him. He's nominated loyalist Kash Patel for the position. Patel was on Capitol Hill making his case to senators today. ABC senior White House correspondent Mary Bruce has that report.
Tonight, under pressure from President-elect Donald Trump, FBI Director Christopher Wray announcing he will resign in January, more than 2 years before his term was set to end.
I've decided the right thing for the Bureau is for me to serve until the end of the current administration in January and then step down. This is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray.
Trump himself appointed Wray in 2017, saying he would be a fierce guardian of the law and a model of integrity. But Trump soured on his pick after the FBI launched investigations into his efforts to overturn the 2020 election and alleged mishandling of classified information, agents discovering documents at his Florida home, in a storage room, in the ballroom, even a bathroom. Just days ago, saying this.
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home.
Trump had already announced plans to replace Wray with his loyal defender, Kash Patel. So for Wray, the writing was on the wall. Today, saying his decision wasn't easy, but it was right.
My focus is, and always has been, on us and on doing what's right for the FBI. Our adherence to our core values, our dedication to independence and objectivity, and our defense of the rule of law. Those fundamental aspects of who we are must never change.
Trump bluntly declaring the resignation of Christopher Wray is a great day for America. Patel, who's been meeting with senators on the Hill, once wrote the FBI has become so thoroughly compromised it will remain a threat to the people unless drastic measures are taken.
Mr. Patel, Christopher Wray just announced he's resigning. What's your reaction?
We look forward to a very smooth transition, and I'll be ready to go on day.
Are you going to be seeking retribution against Donald Trump's political opponents, sir?
But Democrats are concerned about the independence of the FBI.
There was a reason we put in place the idea that an FBI director would say serve for 10 years so that you weren't subject to the whims of a particular president. Am I worried about that independence of the FBI? You bet.
Mary Bruce joins us now from Capitol Hill. And Mary, I know that we've learned that the president-elect is expected to make an appearance at the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow morning. What's the plan there?
Well, we now know what is behind this. The president-elect is being named as Time Magazine's Person of the Year, the second time he is being named that. And to commemorate the honor, he is going to be at the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow morning, ringing that opening bell. Lindsay.
All right, Mary Bruce from Capitol Hill for us. Thanks so much, Mary. Lawmakers in the House have voted to pass a massive defense bill that includes a ban on gender-affirming care for transgender children of service members. The bill, known as the National Defense Authorization Act, also includes a 14.5% pay raise for junior service members, National Guard to be deployed at the border, and restricts the Department of Defense from creating any new DEI programs. The bill passed 281 to 140, sending it to the Democratic-controlled Senate, and must be signed by President Biden to become law. Major storm is slamming the Northeast, bringing heavy rain, flash flooding, high winds, and snow in parts of Massachusetts. Winds reached up to nearly 50 miles an hour. And on the other coast, red flag warnings are in the fire zone near Malibu as the Franklin fire is still out of control. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z joins us now. Ginger, certainly a difficult night ahead for millions.
Yes, a powerful front that's over us as we speak. You can see the rain here, and the winds have been gusting to, again, 50, even 60 miles per hour with some of those wind alerts all the way throughout New England. We're going to deal with that for the next couple of hours, Lindsay, but then the flood alerts also are going to finally leave us by after midnight. But all of this will be replaced by some super cold air, and so that is going to turn on the lake effect snow machine. West Michigan, parts of western New York could see feet of snow with this next round in the 48 hours following. And then it's all about that cold. The cold air is going to be on the order of sub-zero wind chills tomorrow morning, from feeling like 14 below for Chicago or 30 below in northern Minnesota to that cold weather alert. Even for Tampa, they will have a wind chill close to and just above freezing. So yes, big changes to come, Lindsay.
Frigid, and that rain steadily coming down as well. Ginger Z for us. Please go get dry. Now to the growing alarm over the swarm of mysterious drones appearing in the sky in the Northeast, often dozens at a time. No one knows where they're coming from or why. Frustrated local officials are calling on the FBI to speed up the investigation and for the federal government to take action. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, officials in New Jersey sounding the alarm, now calling for immediate action by federal authorities against those mysterious drones in the skies for weeks now, with no answers about who is behind them.
They're just pacing back and forth, going very slow.
A Coast Guard ship also trailed.
One of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones.
Dozens of sightings reported since last month, including near sensitive military installations and President-elect Trump's Bedminster Golf Club, where he resides. Tonight, the Pentagon striking down unverified claims made by one lawmaker that Iran is behind those drones.
Our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
But one White House official telling ABC News they are not ruling out foreign involvement. Lindsay, tonight, some lawmakers here in New Jersey want to ban all drones from the airspace around here until the public has some answers. Lindsay?
Ariel, thank you. Joining us now is Pequannock Township, New Jersey Mayor Ryan Hurd, who was at the briefing today with other mayors in the state concerning the drone activity. Mayor Hurd, we thank you so much for your time. No doubt the people in your community are looking to you for answers, particularly to questions about their safety and security, but also much of this country is watching as well. What details are you able to share with us tonight?
Well, you know what? It's a great question. I went down there this afternoon to get answers to questions that we had. Unfortunately, the answer that I got was, we don't know anything. It's even worse than I thought. They knew even less than I thought that they knew. And that's a problem. We have no idea where these drones are coming from. We have no idea where they're taking off from, where they're landing, what they're doing, or who's even doing them.
Now, at that briefing today, you were able to get some answers about the origins of these drones. While you may not know what they are, apparently you were told what they are not. Can you share with us what they are not?
Good question. So I asked a very straightforward question. Can you confirm to me that these drones are not U.S. military drones? And they said, yes, they are not U.S. military drones. And I said, can you confirm whether or not they are from a high-tech company, a company like Google or Amazon or, let's say, Elon Musk? They said, we can confirm it's not from them. So who are they from?
Now, so they're definitely not big tech drones or military drones. Drones are obviously part of the modern warfare landscape today. Are you confident that we're keeping up with technology like drone technology, whether or not it has nefarious intentions?
I asked that question as well. And here's the problem. As everybody knows drones, for the most part, you've seen a drone maybe at a wedding or maybe at a baseball game or maybe to take some other pictures. But those drones are about the size of, I don't know, the palm of your hands or something. The drones that are out now that are literally flying over my house, my community's house, the families in Pequannock, are the size of large SUVs, if not buses. The question is, I actually got this question from one of my residents is, how do we know, based on everything that's going on in the world today? I see it on YouTube, I see it on regular TV, all these drone attacks in Ukraine or Syria. How do we know that this isn't going to happen here? And here's the problem. I don't have a clear answer for them. And that's why I went down to South Jersey to this mayor's meeting.
What would you like to see happen next in order to address this issue?
I'd like to get to the bottom of this. We need to know where they're lifting off of, where they're going to, why they're doing it. We need to solve this problem, and we need to solve this problem now. And the biggest problem is, I'm sorry, but Governor Murphy wasn't even at this meeting. Listen, you've got hundreds, if not thousands of drones flying over your state. This is a place where we live. And we're not just talking about flying over at 5 or 10 or 30,000 feet like a regular plane. We're talking about a couple of hundred feet over your house, over my house, over my neighbor's house. This is our families. This is about safety, it's about security, and it's about peace of mind.
Other elected leaders have called for military intervention, including by the U.S. Coast Guard. Would you support that?
I would support that over the ocean. Here's the problem, and I definitely want to caution everybody in New Jersey and everywhere else. We really can't shoot these drones down, meaning, you can't just go in your backyard and try to shoot one down. The unintended consequences could be horrible. God forbid something was to happen. These drones aren't small. If one of these drones crashes into a house and kills a family of 6, it's going to be a problem. We don't want that. What we want to do is we want to find out what's going on. So if they're flying over the ocean, there's plenty of space over there to take one down. Now, our local officials and our state police, they said that they don't have the authority. And I understand, and I trust them. And I have to tell you, they're doing a phenomenal job. But the federal government can come in and absolutely take care of it off of the coast, or whether it's the Coast Guard or somebody else. There's got to be a way to get our hands on this, to start solving this problem.
All right. Well, we will, of course, continue to keep our viewers updated with the latest on that. Mayor Hurd, we thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on all your medals back there.
Thank you so much. New York City Marathon 5 times.
In Syria tonight, the desperate search for missing loved ones after the fall of the Assad government. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman is in Damascus at a hospital morgue where families are identifying the bodies of the most recent victims of the brutal regime.
There's a desperate search across Syria tonight for the missing fathers, mothers, sons, daughters who simply vanished under Assad's brutal regime. On the wall outside this Damascus hospital, photos of corpses. Families gather to try and identify loved ones.
We're not going to get too close because it's incredibly graphic, but basically I'm looking at the skeletal remains of multiple human beings.
In the morgue, finding the truth brings no comfort.
I'm standing in a room full of dead bodies. There's 5 men in here. You can see hands, legs poking out of the bags. The smell is overwhelming. And people are coming in here trying to see if they recognize anyone. And this gentleman has found his son. It's James, it's me. I'm so sorry. This man's son is Mohammed. He's 20 years old, and he missed out on the revolution by 2 months. He was killed 2 months ago, and he's come to claim him.
A family's grief overwhelming. He has hope his surviving son will see a better Syria.
I asked him if he has hope in the future of Syria. He said, of course, and he's just hugged his son.
And tonight, Linsey, the rebels are vowing to track down those responsible for these crimes and hold them to account. But that might be part of the problems lying ahead for Syria. It may be impossible for anyone to forgive or forget what's happened here. Linsey?
So much emotion there, really powerful. James, thank you. To consumer news now, supermarket giant Albertsons has filed a lawsuit against its rival Kroger. A multi-billion-dollar deal between the companies was blocked by federal judges yesterday, intended to create the biggest supermarket merger in U.S. history. After the failed bid, Albertsons announced today it had terminated the merger agreement and sought legal action against Kroger. Albertsons claimed that their rival failed to exercise its best efforts and actions needed for the approval of the proposed $24.6 billion deal. Kroger later stated the lawsuit's claims were baseless. Daniel Penny broke his silence on Fox News after his acquittal in the subway chokehold case that killed 30-year-old Jordan Neely. This was Penny's first interview since the trial closed on Monday. Penny said that he initially intended to protect other passengers on the subway and added that once on the ground with Neely, he was in a very vulnerable position. When asked to explain why he felt vulnerable in the moment of the fatal encounter, Penny said that he was afraid Neely's threats to kill people would have happened if he had stopped the restraint.
I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself.
The case sparked national debate over homelessness and public safety on public transportation. Still much more to get to here on Prime tonight. A grand escape gone wrong. The 2 jewelry thieves who stole a rowboat to run away but ended up having to swim to shore. But next, she helped build a wrestling empire and is now President-elect Trump's pick to lead the Department of Education. We dive into Linda McMahon's past and the charges and changes she may bring to the agency.
Riley's falling asleep.
Okay, crew, let's get to work.
From the world of Inside Out.
There's a lot of memories that need some extra processing, and we send those to Dream Productions.
Please, come on in.
Meet the team behind Riley's dreams.
I've been directing dreams in Riley's mind for 10 years now. Dream Team!
Disney and Pixar's Dream Productions, now available only on Disney+.
the news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London.
From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
Audiences around the world have made Disney's Moana 2 a record-breaking global phenomenon. And now it's the #1 movie
I thought you'd be bigger.
in the world.
Nailed it!
Moana 2 is rich with emotions and visual wonders. It's a fantastic voyage and a joyous adventure the whole family will love.
You're so amazing.
Moana 2 is an exhilarating triumph.
Never change.
Disney's Moana 2, rated PG, now playing only in theaters.
I tell you, Karen, you better get out of there. That place could turn into a hellhole.
She was a brave whistleblower, and then...
What happens to a spy when the people you're spying on find out you're a spy?
That young lady was murdered, as far as I'm concerned.
A story so compelling it was made into a movie starring Meryl Streep. Now, newly discovered tapes.
It's all here. Oh my God, we just walked into a Indiana Jones movie.
What happened to Karen Silkwood? The Lost Tapes, now streaming on Hulu.
Is that my GTO? I built that 15 years ago, and somebody stole it.
Hi, Dad.
There's the thief.
Hey, kids, say hi to Grandpa. Papa! I'm crawling home because I'm broke. I need a place to stay until I figure out what the rest of my life looks like.
So, a couple of days. The last time you walked out that door, you looked back at me and gave me a double bird.
I was 18. The double bird was how I ended all our conversations. All we want is to find our way home.
I'll get you home. Got a crew of murderous bounty hunters. He's coming after us. We have to move fast.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Of course.
What just happened?
Watch this.
Skeleton Crew, new episodes Tuesdays, only on Disney+.
Welcome back, everyone. It was a cornerstone promise from Donald Trump on the campaign trail: dissolve the Department of Education and put education into the hands of both parents and the states, a move that would require an act of Congress. The woman he has chosen to lead that charge, Linda McMahon, a well-known businesswoman who helped to build the wrestling empire WWE. Can McMahon, if confirmed, bring the changes the president-elect is looking for? And what would those changes look like? Our Jay O'Brien takes a closer look in tonight's Prime Focus.
In the ring, on the receiving end of that pile driver, is President-elect Donald Trump's pick to run the Department of Education, Linda McMahon. After helping to build the wrestling empire WWE, McMahon is now entering a different arena: American education, where the emotions are even more raw and the stakes much higher. As Trump promises an overhaul of how this country teaches its children, even proposing eliminating the department he now wants McMahon to lead.
We're moving the Department of Education. We're moving. Your state is going to control your children's education. We're moving it out of Washington.
If she receives Senate confirmation, McMahon, who has no formal teaching training and little experience in education, will be tasked with setting policies for the nation's schools. The Department of Education has more than 4,000 employees, a $68 billion budget, and oversees everything from monitoring students' academic progress to investigating campus sexual assault to keeping classrooms up to date with the most cutting-edge educational materials and research. McMahon is a relative newcomer to managing public education, but no stranger to politics. In 2009, she left the WWE to mount the first of two unsuccessful bids for Senate in Connecticut, running as a Republican. McMahon then served for a year on the Connecticut State Board of Education and has said she had dreams when she was younger of becoming a teacher, only to put those on hold when she got married and helped build the media behemoth World Wrestling Entertainment with her then-husband Vince, even occasionally getting into the ring with him.
Well, what a pleasant surprise. My wife, Linda.
McMahon first went to Washington in 2017.
Raising wages, investing in their companies.
Serving for 3 years as the head of the Small Business Administration during the first Trump term. She's remained close to Trump ever since.
So you have to give the rights back to the parents.
Trump's plan to bring education policy back to the state, local, and parental level, a longtime goal of Republicans and controversial conservative groups like Moms for Liberty, which has proposed public school book bans, fought mask mandates during the pandemic, and echoed what critics say is anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. The group's co-founder, Tiffany Justice, has met with Trump and McMahon about education policy.
I think Linda's a wonderful choice, and she believes that the people of America are smart, and parents are the ones that can make the best decisions for their children.
She's a businesswoman, but not an educator. Is she qualified?
What we need in Washington are disruptors. It's why I want to be a part of changing things in America and taking back the federal government.
You want someone in the Department of Education who wants to dismantle it?
Absolutely. I absolutely want someone to run the Department of Education that wants to dismantle the system and the bureaucracy at the federal level.
But it's McMahon's qualifications that concern educators like Becky Pringle, the president of the National Education Association, the nation's largest teachers union.
An unqualified person being in that position necessarily means they've never taught a day in the classroom. They don't understand the needs of our students. They don't understand what our educators must have to do the jobs they love.
But what would dismantling the sprawling Department of Education really look like? A decades-old goal of some Republicans recently outlined in a bill by South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds. Rounds' Returning Education to Our States Act would redistribute the Department of Education's roles to other federal agencies, moving services like student loan programs to the Treasury, disabilities aid to Health and Human Services, and career training initiatives to the Department of Labor. Every role that isn't passed off to a different department would likely become a state or local government responsibility.
The Department of Education actually came into being because Americans believed that the federal government had a role to play in the education of its students, and especially when we're talking about equity and access and opportunity for all students. And that's a huge role that the Department of Education plays. So whether we're talking about IDEA, the Individuals with Disability Education Act, or we're talking about the Office of Civil Rights in the Department of Education, that ensures that all students, issues and needs, the additional resources that are required to ensure that they have the level of education they need to live into their brilliance. The Department of Education oversees that.
Isn't there a risk, though, without a centralized Department of Education, that you have different states doing different things and different standards, and it's kind of this version of educational chaos?
Oh my gosh, we have educational chaos now. The idea that abolishing the Department of Education is somehow going to hurt education is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know that it could get much worse.
Justice points to dismal education numbers from coast to coast, including an achievement gap supercharged by COVID-era school closures and low test scores in everything from math to social studies to reading. Even before the pandemic, the Department of Education consistently found roughly 1/3 of U.S. fourth graders read below what's considered the basic level. But before McMahon can tackle that, she has to be confirmed by the United States Senate. And a lawsuit recently paused by a federal judge naming McMahon and accusing the WWE of failing to stop a ringside announcer from grooming and sexually abusing children in the late 1980s and 90s could complicate that process. In a statement to ABC News, Linda McMahon's attorney said the lawsuit is filled with scurrilous lies, exaggerations, and misrepresentations. The matter at the time was investigated by company attorneys and the FBI, which found no grounds to continue the investigation. McMahon is also reportedly separated from her husband, Vince, who faces additional allegations of sexual battery and trafficking, which he has denied. This all as McMahon prepares to lead the federal agency tasked with investigating sexual discrimination and sexual violence on school campuses. But McMahon, who's seen as among the least controversial of Trump's cabinet picks, is already lining up support from Republican lawmakers.
There's going to be heavy reforms taking place in these agencies. They have to be.
We need to be more of a family when it comes to education instead of
individual agency. We need to make it more personal, and I think that she'll have a great opportunity to do that. She knows a lot about it.
While some Democratic senators begin to grapple with their diminished status in Congress.
I'm going to say she's definitely wouldn't be my first choice, or my second choice, or third choice, or fourth, or fifth choice, or sixth, or seventh. But I forgot they won, so they can pick these kinds of things.
Not exactly a vote of confidence there. Our thanks to Jay O'Brien. Still much more to get to coming up. He's the new CEO of Starbucks, and he wants to get a cup of coffee into customers' hands much faster than before. Our Rebecca Jarvis sits down one-on-one with the leader of the popular coffee chain to talk about the big changes that are brewing. But next, the holidays have pine tree growers seeing green. We take a look at the big and booming business of Christmas trees by the numbers.
How many elephants have you killed? True natural beauty, one of the last of its kind. But this comes at a cost. 5 countries, 5 incredible real stories of adventure, danger,
We have to go.
and deceit.
Where are we going next?
We got this ongoing search for the animal we've been trying to find. These are the last lands. The national parks around the world that have to be saved.
There.
I'm not king. I'm not royal blood. It is not what you were. It is what you become. This is the story of brothers, Mufasa and the prince who would come to be known as Scar. This kingdom belongs to me. Brother, we must fight together. You stole my destiny, Mufasa. It is your time.
Mufasa the Lion King. In theaters December 20th. Rated PG.
I tell you, Karen, you better get out of there. That place is going to turn into a hellhole.
She was a brave whistleblower, and then...
What happens to a spy when the people you're spying on find out you're a spy?
That young lady was murdered, as far as I'm concerned.
A story so compelling it was made into a movie starring Meryl Streep. Now, newly discovered tapes.
It's all here. Oh my God, we just walked into a Indiana Jones movie.
What happened to Karen Silkwood? The Lost Tapes, now streaming on Hulu. The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London. From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
All we want is to find our way home.
I'll get you home.
Got a crew of murderous bounty hunters. He's coming after us. We have to move fast.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Of course.
What just happened?
Watch this.
Skeleton Crew. New episodes Tuesdays, only on Disney+.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
Hurricane Helene screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story.
As news breaks live.
ABC News Live is there for you all morning live.
Right there, as events unfold across the day, breaking down the day's top stories. ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
I'm Janae Norman, reporting live on the return of panda diplomacy here in the Sichuan province of China. You're watching ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. While fewer Americans are identifying as Christian these days, the popularity of buying Christmas trees is actually on the rise. We take a look at this holiday tradition by the numbers. Christmas tree and decoration businesses have grown to a $5 billion industry, and nearly 22 million real Christmas trees were purchased in the 2023 holiday season. That's according to the National Christmas Tree Association. 14% of consumers purchased a real tree last holiday season, paying a median price of $75 for it. According to the USDA, there are 2,880 dedicated Christmas tree farms in the U.S. and 13,000 more that sell trees in addition to another crop. For those who prize a tall tree, it actually takes more than 7 years for a tree to reach 6 feet. Plus, farmers must plant 3 seedlings for every tree that they're ultimately able to harvest. And did you know that with a $5 permit from the U.S. Forest Service, you can actually cut down your own tree in some national parks? You do have to cut and transport it, but thinning trees this way can actually improve forest health. By far, more Americans celebrate with an artificial tree, about 80% of the country, according to Nielsen. And in 2022, the U.S. imported nearly 20 million fake trees, nearly all of them from China. And if you're team artificial tree, note imported trees could get much more expensive with President Trump's promise of tariffs. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime. If you have a sweet tooth, listen up. A new study suggests that different types of sugar intake, from ice cream to pastries to soda, carry different levels of risk to our health. The results actually might surprise you. But next, she's one of the 5 bad sisters in the Apple TV Plus dark comedy by that name. Sharon Horgan joins us with a look at what's in store for the troubled sisters as season 2 digs up new family secrets.
How many elephants have you killed?
True natural beauty, one of the last of its kind. But this comes at a cost. 5 countries, 5 incredible real stories of adventure, danger,
We have to go.
and deceit.
Where are we going next? We got this ongoing search for the animal we've been trying to find.
These are the last lands. The national parks around the world that have to be saved.
There.
Is that my GTO? I built that 15 years ago, and somebody stole it.
Hi, Dad.
There's the thief.
Hey, kids, say hi to Grandpa. Papa!
I'm crawling home because I'm broke. I need a place to stay until I figure out what the rest of my life looks like.
So, a couple of days. The last time you walked out that door, you looked back at me and gave me a double bird.
I was 18. The double bird was how I ended all our conversations.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
We heard what appeared to be gunfire. The former president rushed off the stage.
Hurricane Helene ravaging the coastline of Florida.
It's moving really fast, screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story.
As news breaks live.
We hear those small arms fire around us.
We're right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
ABC News Live is there for you at the start of your day, all morning live. ABC News Live, right there, as events unfold across the day. ABC News Live, breaking down the day's top stories.
Lyle and Eric Menendez, there is new evidence in this case.
ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is. Are you going to build it back up?
And ABC News Live, lighting up the weekend.
With breaking news and all the latest pop headlines.
Happy Oscars Sunday.
A lot to watch for tonight.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
I'm not king. I'm not royal blood. It is not what you were. It is what you become. This is the story of brothers, Mufasa and the prince who would come to be known as Scar. This kingdom belongs to me. Brother, we must fight together. You stole my destiny, Mufasa. It is your time.
Mufasa the Lion King. In theaters December 20th. Rated PG.
The $11,000 jewelry heist that ended in a sinking rowboat A new study on sugar consumption has good news for pastry lovers, and how a quick-thinking police sergeant went above and beyond for a one-year-old girl. These stories and more in tonight's Rundown.
Deputies in Washington state arrested a man and a woman accused of stealing $11,000 worth of jewelry from a shipping container. The sheriff's office says the pair tried to drive away, but their car rolled over, and then they ran and stole a rowboat. While using plywood and an oar, the boat began taking on water. A police drone recorded it all. The boat eventually sank, and the man and woman swam to shore where they were arrested. It's not yet clear if the stolen jewelry was recovered. Global soccer governing body FIFA has officially announced the hosts for the next 2 men's World Cups. Portugal, Spain, and Morocco will co-host the 2030 event to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Cup in Uruguay. The first 3 games of the tournament will be in South America. As for the 2034 Men's World Cup, FIFA chose Saudi Arabia as the host nation. A controversial pick. More than 20 human rights groups warned against it, citing concerns over the abuse of migrant workers, freedom of speech, and the rights of minority groups in the Gulf nations. People who drink a lot of sugary beverages may face higher risks of heart disease than those who consume other sugary treats. That from a new Frontiers in Public Health study. Researchers followed nearly 70,000 people in Sweden for 20 years, comparing the effects of sugary drinks like soft drinks and fruit juices with treats like pastries and ice cream. Surprisingly, both a very low and very high sweet intake was linked to higher health risks. A mother in Madison, Illinois, says her 8-year-old son was dragged down the hallway of his elementary school, shoved into a classroom, and kicked by a teaching aide. The mother says she received video of it from the principal last week. It shows her son running down the hallway with the teaching aide chasing after him before she grabs him by the arm and swings him around. The teaching aide is facing misdemeanor charges of battery and endangering the life and health of a child. The mother has filed a lawsuit which alleges her son was walking in the hallway to get water, but ABC News cannot confirm what happened prior to the incident. The school district did not respond to a request for comment prior to airtime. The White House is touting what it calls the largest reduction in overdose deaths ever recorded. New CDC data shows that overdose deaths were down by nearly 17% from July 2023 to July 2024, representing 500,000 fewer American deaths. The Biden administration touts the improvement as a sign that efforts to fight the opioid crisis are working. A Newark police sergeant is being commended for helping a 1-year-old baby who was choking last week. Traffic Unit Sergeant Jay Cosme was on duty when a man came up screaming that his daughter couldn't breathe inside his car. The child was choking on a peppermint candy, according to police. Cosme performed the Heimlich maneuver, allowing the baby's airway to clear and start breathing again. The traffic officer then took the mother and her child to University Hospital in his police car.
Starbucks is on a mission to strengthen its customer base by making some new decisions and bringing back some old policies. The man leading it all, their new CEO, ABC's Rebecca Jarvis, talked to him about his vision for the company's future.
We've got this whole mission around getting back to Starbucks.
Brian Niccol is the new CEO working to return Starbucks to its former glory and reinvigorate the iconic 53-year-old brand following a year of slumping sales and customer complaints like these on social media about everything from the cost of a drink,
Starbucks and their pricing, baffling, mind-blowing, redonkulous,
to wait times. Niccol took over in September, turning over every detail and quickly addressing a big customer pet peeve, upcharges for alternative milks like almond and oat.
What are the other major changes customers can expect?
You'll see us do simple things, bringing back the Sharpies, bringing back the coffee condiment bar. You'll see us continue to push towards how do we make it easier for you to get your coffee, and then also simplify the execution for our baristas.
But it's not just bringing back the basics. The former Chipotle CEO says he's working to improve in-store ordering with a goal of getting your espresso drink made in less than 4 minutes. He's also working on the app and mobile ordering.
The thing I hear a lot is that customers love the options of Starbucks. They like being able to order through the app or come in. but it takes a while. How do you make that go faster?
So we're right now investing in how do we build the technology so that when a mobile order comes in, we basically give you a time that your drink will be ready. So today, we just kind of give you an estimate. Hey, it'll be ready in 3 to 5 minutes. In the future, what'll happen is we'll be like, Rebecca, your drink will be ready at 9, instead of it just being made, sitting on the counter waiting for people to come.
And eyeing a smaller menu, eliminating less popular items to get you your coffee faster. What kinds of things are going to have to go?
We've got a lot of offerings that there's just 1 or 2 of these ordered a day. So the way I talk about it is we're going to do fewer things, but we're going to do fewer things better.
And he says, for now, these changes won't come at a higher cost.
You have Chipotle, your former company, hiking prices 2% higher. Is Starbucks going to hike prices, or is inflation, as far as Starbucks is concerned, done?
We're going to hit the pause button on any pricing for this fiscal year. I still think there's an opportunity for us to simplify the pricing architecture. I don't love the fact that in our app right now, while you're doing this customization, it doesn't inform you what has happened to the price. So I want to get more transparent with the pricing.
With all the changes, a constant here in the Starbucks Seattle headquarters are quality controls. Every morning, every batch of coffee is tested by sight, smell, and taste in the cupping room. The company's vice president of global coffee and tea quality shows us what they're looking for.
We're going to do a noisy slurp, and you're going to really aerate that across your palate, because most of our sense of taste comes from aroma, from smell. So the louder the better, usually.
5 years from now, if I walk into a Starbucks,
Yeah.
how different is it going to look from today?
I think what you're going to see is a very orderly mobile order business with its own dedicated pickup area. When you walk in and you interact with the barista, my hope is we can get you a brewed cup of coffee in less than 30 seconds.
Our thanks to Rebecca Jarvis. Time tonight for the latest in our series Streamlined, where we bring you some of the biggest films and TV series hitting screens worldwide. Speaking with some of the actors and creators behind them, buried secrets begin to resurface in the highly anticipated second season of Apple TV Plus's hit series Bad Sisters. The comedic drama follows the Garvey sisters, Eva, Grace, Ursula, Bibi, and Becca, whose bond was tested when they became suspects in the murder of Grace's abusive husband. In the new season, the show dives deeper into their lives, and the police renew their investigation. Let's take a look.
And from everything stinking, they're not around.
I'm pregnant.
What?
Are you kidding me?
Joining us now is co-creator and executive producer of the series, Emmy Award nominee and BAFTA award-winning actress Sharon Horgan. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Second season of Bad Sisters. What can we expect from the Garvey sisters?
More caper, I suppose. More shenanigans. We joined them 2 years after the murder of Grace's husband, and I guess it's sort of what's happened in the meantime and how they've gotten on with their lives, and it becomes this sort of perfect storm where the police start getting closer to finding out what really happened, and people start sort of wavering and losing confidence, and yeah, it's a blast.
Well, tell us, how does your character Eva navigate the suspicions? Because the first season ended kind of with what seemed like closure, and now there's renewed suspicions, past and new, that come about here.
It ended with, he was dead, and it looks like she's getting on with her life. This is Grace, who Amory Duff plays, my sister. But he affected them. The abusive husband affected all the family in so many ways. And I think that's what a lot of the series is about, And then his past deeds, like the shadow of his past deeds, sort of keep impacting on them. So all his bad choices continue to affect their lives. And yeah, once the cops get involved and start sniffing around, it all starts going wrong.
And we mentioned that the husband who died was an abusive husband.
Yes.
And so you all touch on these really kind of serious issues, and yet there's some humor. as well. How do you balance that?
Yeah, how do you balance it? You just keep an eye on tone, you know, because certainly the first season was dealing with very serious subject matter. It was, an abusive relationship, coercive control and financial control and stuff that's, you know, really difficult to talk about or deal with. But sometimes I think kind of comedy is a really great tool for that, because, you know, you get these sort of really brutal moments and then you kind of have a sort of light moment to help land the blow.
You play one of 5 sisters, and in real life, you're one of 5 siblings.
Yeah.
How does that, is there any reflection of your own, the way you might interpret the complexities of sibling relationships from your own personal life into this show?
I mean, a ton of it. We've never killed anyone, I should say that. But that feeling of that mad love you have for each other and what you do for each other, but also just capturing that feeling of, you know, when I'm with my brothers and sisters, it's just a sort of instant camaraderie, like a party, you know, so I wanted to bring that sort of joy on screen. But it was one of the reasons why I really wanted to do the show, because I felt like if I can capture that feeling of what it is to be in a big, very close-knit family, then that would be, you know, that would be great.
It's all very entertaining. Sharon, thank you so much for coming on the show. We want to let our viewers know season 2 of Bad Sisters is now streaming on Apple TV Plus with new episodes on Wednesdays. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, the 2 brothers, top real estate brokers, what authorities allege they promised, and then what they're accused of doing over the course of many years. And meet Swagbot. We'll tell you all about this new AI robot and what it could mean for our planet.
I tell you, Karen, you better get out of there. That place gonna turn into a hellhole.
She was a brave whistleblower, and then...
What happens to a spy when the people you're spying on find out you're a spy?
That young lady was murdered, as far as I'm concerned.
A story so compelling it was made into a movie starring Meryl Streep. Now, newly discovered tapes.
It's all here. Oh my God, we just walked into a Indiana Jones movie.
What happened to Karen Silkwood? The Lost Tapes, now streaming on Hulu.
Audiences around the world have made Disney's Moana 2 a record-breaking global phenomenon. And now, it's the #1 movie
I thought you'd be bigger.
in the world.
Nailed it!
Moana 2 is rich with emotions and visual wonders. It's a fantastic voyage and a joyous adventure the whole family will love.
You're so amazing!
Moana 2 is an exhilarating triumph.
Never change.
Disney's Moana 2, rated PG, now playing only in theaters.
Hey! Good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Are you ready? They are ready. Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
I'll be here.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
Michael, George, Clara, Ginger.
All we want is to find our way home.
I'll get you home. But a crew of murderous bounty hunters is coming after us. We have to move fast.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Of course.
What just happened?
Watch this.
Skeleton Crew, new episodes Tuesdays, only on Disney+.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
We appeared to be gunfire. The former president rushed off the stage.
Hurricane Helene ravaging the coastline of Florida.
It's moving really fast, screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story.
As news breaks live.
We hear the small arms fire around us. We're right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
ABC News Live is there for you at the start of your day all morning live. ABC News Live.
Live, right there, as events unfold across the day. ABC News Live, breaking down the day's top stories.
Lyle and Eric Menendez, there is new evidence in this case.
ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is. Are you going to build it back up?
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend.
With breaking news and all the latest pop headlines.
Happy Oscars Sunday.
A lot to watch for tonight.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with new developments in that murder of the healthcare CEO. Tonight, the NYPD says they now have forensic evidence tying suspect Luigi Mangione to the crime in Midtown Manhattan. And sources tell ABC News Mangione's family has started to speak with investigators. Tonight, Mangione remains in a Pennsylvania jail after that angry outburst on his way to court 24 hours ago when he refused extradition to New York. But the NYPD is tightening its case. Authorities say fingerprints found on a water bottle and a snack bar wrapper near the scene of the murder match Mangione's. The NYPD has also taken possession of the ghost gun found in Mangione's backpack. Police say it matches 3 shell casings recovered at the scene. That's in addition to a spiral notebook with a 3-page handwritten document, which detectives consider to be a confession. ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky leads us off.
As a completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
Accused killer Luigi Mangione may be fighting extradition in Pennsylvania, but investigators are building a murder case against him in New York. And tonight they say they have their first forensic match. From fingerprints on a water bottle and snack bar wrapper near the crime scene to the ghost gun police say was used to murder UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown at the scene of the homicide.
Detectives also now have what they consider to be a confession, a spiral notebook that sources say contains plans for how to kill Thompson. What do you do? One passage allegedly read, you whack the CEO at the annual parasitic bean counter convention. It's targeted, precise, and doesn't risk innocence. Mangione's lawyer tells ABC News his client will plead not guilty, and he has seen none of this evidence.
That's one of the many reasons why we're challenging the extradition at this point, so we can see some evidence and get a little more detailed information about the charges against Luigi.
Tonight, sources tell ABC News Mangione's family has started talking with investigators. His mother filed a missing persons report with police about 2 weeks before the murder. Mangione was valedictorian at a prestigious boys' school. His former classmates are now trying to make sense of it all.
I've still been in a little state of disbelief that this kid that I knew from high school 8 years ago is now the most high-profile killer, allegedly, in the country. I would never have had anything bad to say about him.
But now the NYPD is alarmed the alleged killer is seen by some as a martyr, inspiring these wanted posters outside the New York Stock Exchange with the names of other corporate executives. A new law enforcement bulletin obtained by ABC News includes this image of a banner invoking the words found on the shooter's bullets. The bulletin warns many social media users have outright advocated for the continued killings of CEOs, with some aiming to spread fear by posting hit lists.
What do you make of people celebrating the murder of Brian Thompson, or someone who sees in the suspect someone to take inspiration from?
Celebrating this conduct is abhorrent to me. It's deeply disturbing. And what I would say to members of the public, people who, as you described, are celebrating this and maybe contemplating other action, that we will be vigilant and we will hold people accountable. We are at the ready.
Aaron Katursky for us. FBI Director Christopher Wray told his staff that he will resign at the end of the Biden administration next month, with nearly 3 years still left on his 10-year term. Though President-elect Trump himself appointed Wray during his first term, he has made it very clear that he would replace Wray. He's nominated loyalist Kash Patel for the position. Patel was on Capitol Hill again today, making his case to senators. ABC senior White House correspondent Mary Bruce has that report.
Tonight, under pressure from President-elect Donald Trump, FBI Director Christopher Wray announcing he will resign in January, more than 2 years before his term was set to end.
I've decided the right thing for the Bureau
is for me to serve until the end of the current administration in January and then step down. This is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray.
Trump himself appointed Wray in 2017, saying he would be a fierce guardian of the law and a model of integrity. But Trump soured on his pick after the FBI launched investigations into his efforts to overturn the 2020 election and alleged mishandling of classified information, agents discovering documents at his Florida home, in a storage room, in the ballroom, even a bathroom. Just days ago, saying this.
Well, I can't say I'm thrilled with him. He invaded my home.
Trump had already announced plans to replace Wray with his loyal defender, Kash Patel. So for Wray, the writing was on the wall. Today, saying his decision wasn't easy, but it was right.
My focus is, and always has been, on us and on doing what's right for the FBI. Our adherence to our core values, our dedication to independence and objectivity, and our defense of the rule of law. Those fundamental aspects of who we are must never change.
Trump bluntly declaring the resignation of Christopher Wray is a great day for America. Patel, who's been meeting with senators on the Hill, once wrote the FBI has become so thoroughly compromised it will remain a threat to the people unless drastic measures are taken.
Mr. Patel, Christopher Wray just announced he's resigning. What's your reaction?
We look forward to a very smooth transition, and I'll be ready to go on day.
Are you going to be seeking retribution against Donald Trump's political opponents, sir?
But Democrats are concerned about the independence of the FBI.
There was a reason we put in place the idea that an FBI director would say serve for 10 years, so that you weren't subject to the whims of a particular president. Am I worried about that independence of the FBI? You bet.
Mary Bruce joins us now from Capitol Hill. And Mary, I know that we've learned that the president-elect is expected to make an appearance at the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow morning. What's the plan there?
Well, we now know what is behind this. The president-elect is being named as Time Magazine's Person of the Year, the second time he is being named that. And to commemorate the honor, he is going to be at the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow morning, ringing that opening bell. Lindsay.
All right, Mary Bruce from Capitol Hill for us. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Major storm is slamming the Northeast, bringing heavy rain, flash flooding, high winds, and snow in parts of Massachusetts. Winds reached up to nearly 50 miles an hour. And on the other coast, red flag warnings are in the fire zone near Malibu as the Franklin fire is still out of control. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z joins us now. Ginger, certainly a difficult night ahead for millions.
Yes, a powerful front that's over us as we speak. You can see the rain here, and the winds have been gusting to, again, 50, even 60 miles per hour with some of those wind alerts all the way throughout New England. We're going to deal with that for the next couple of hours, Lindsay, but then the flood alerts also are going to finally leave us by after midnight. But all of this will be replaced by some super cold air, and so that is going to turn on the lake effect snow machine. West Michigan, parts of western New York could see feet of snow with this next round in the 48 hours following. And then it's all about that cold. The cold air is going to be on the order of sub-zero wind chills tomorrow morning, from feeling like 14 below for Chicago or 30 below in northern Minnesota to that cold weather alert. Even for Tampa, they will have a wind chill close to and just above freezing. So yes, big changes to come, Lindsay.
Frigid, and that rain steadily coming down as well. Ginger Z for us. Please go get dry. In Syria tonight, the desperate search for missing loved ones after the fall of the Assad government. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman is in Damascus at a hospital morgue where families are identifying the bodies of the most recent victims of the brutal regime.
There's a desperate search across Syria tonight for the missing fathers, mothers, sons, daughters who simply vanished under Assad's brutal regime. On the wall outside this Damascus hospital, photos of corpses. Families gather to try and identify loved ones.
We're not going to get too close because it's incredibly graphic, but basically I'm looking at the skeletal remains of multiple human beings.
In the morgue, finding the truth brings no comfort.
I'm standing in a room full of dead bodies. There's 5 men in here. You can see hands, legs poking out of the bags. The smell is overwhelming. And people are coming in here trying to see if they recognize anyone. And this gentleman has found his son. The Mr. James, it's me. I'm so sorry. This man's son is Mohammed. He's 20 years old, and he missed out on the revolution by 2 months. He was killed 2 months ago, and he's come to claim him.
A family's grief. Overwhelming. He has hope his surviving son will see a better Syria.
I asked him if he has hope in the future of Syria. He said, of course. And he's just hugged his son.
And tonight, Linsey, the rebels are vowing to track down those responsible for these crimes and hold them to account. But that might be part of the problems lying ahead for Syria. It may be impossible for anyone to forgive or forget what's happened here. Linsey?
So much pain and suffering, James. Our thanks to you. Now to the growing alarm over the swarm of mysterious drones appearing in the sky in the Northeast, often dozens at a time. No one knows where they're coming from or why. Frustrated local officials are calling on the FBI to speed up the investigation and for the federal government to take action. Here's ABC's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, officials in New Jersey sounding the alarm, now calling for immediate action by federal authorities against those mysterious drones in the skies for weeks now, with no answers about who is behind them.
They're just pacing back and forth, going very slow.
A Coast Guard ship also trailed.
One of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones.
Dozens of sightings reported since last month, including near sensitive military installations and President-elect Trump's Bedminster Golf Club, where he resides. Tonight, the Pentagon striking down unverified claims made by one lawmaker that Iran is behind those drones.
Our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
But one White House official telling ABC News they are not ruling out foreign involvement.
Our thanks to Ariel. Tonight, the high-profile arrest of 3 brothers, including 2 who were top real estate brokers from New York City to Miami, arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. What authorities allege they did over the course of many years. Here's ABC's Victor Oquendo.
Tonight, prominent luxury realtors Oren, Tal, and their brother Alon Alexander arrested on federal sex trafficking charges, allegedly spanning more than a decade.
The Alexander brothers worked together and with others to repeatedly and violently drug, sexually assault, and rape dozens of female victims.
According to the indictment, the brothers arranged the sexual assaults in advance, at times using dating apps or social media to promise luxury experiences, international travel, and accommodations to lure and entice women to locations. Accusers telling police the Alexanders allegedly held them down and ignored screams and explicit requests to stop. They were arrested early this morning, our Miami affiliate WPLG capturing 2 of the brothers being booked. The Alexanders began their careers at Douglas Elliman, focusing on real estate in New York and Miami.
Victor Oquendo joins us now. Victor, what are you learning about who worked on the investigation?
Linsey, the brothers live on Miami Beach, so Miami Beach Police, the FBI, Miami Field Office, the State Attorney's Office, all working with the Southern District of New York. Their first appearance set for Thursday. Linsey?
Victor Oquendo for us. Victor, thanks so much. NFL legend Bill Belichick has officially finalized a deal becoming the head coach of the University of North Carolina. Belichick agreed to a 3-year, $30 million deal. The 6-time Super Bowl winning coach and New England Patriots legend has never coached at a collegiate level. Reportedly, Belichick handed the school a 400-page list of demands in order to take the job. Still much more to get to tonight. Concern over the health of Brazil's president after a sudden brain injury. And also, who doesn't love a story of resilience, redemption, and second chances?
How many elephants have you killed? True natural beauty, one of the last of its kind. But this comes at a cost. 5 countries, 5 incredible real stories of adventure, danger,
We have to go.
and deceit. Where are we going next? We got this ongoing search for the animal we've been trying to find. These are the last lands. The national parks around the world that have to be saved. There.
My girls don't have a dad.
We have 96 hours to build a house for a deserving family.
It can't be real.
This was more than just extreme home makeover. This was extreme life makeover.
I tell you, Karen, you better get out of there. That place is going to turn into a hellhole.
She was a brave whistleblower, and then...
What happens to a spy when the people you're spying on find out you're a spy?
That young lady was murdered, as far as I'm concerned.
A story so compelling it was made into a movie starring Meryl Streep. Now, newly discovered tapes.
It's all here. Oh my God, we just walked into a Indiana Jones movie.
What happened to Karen Silkwood? The Lost Tapes, now streaming on Hulu.
Reporting from the path of Hurricane Helene in Tallahassee, Florida, I'm Mike Ajachi. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world. South Korean police raided President Yoon Suk Yeol's office and arrested several officials as part of the ongoing investigation into the government's martial law declaration. According to the police, the former defense minister who took full responsibility for that martial law declaration attempted to commit suicide before he was arrested. The South Korea National Police Commissioner and the Seoul police chief were also arrested under insurrection charges. Brazil's President Lula da Silva will have to undergo a new medical procedure to prevent further bleeding in his brain. 79-year-old Da Silva had emergency surgery this week after a brain bleed was detected during an MRI scan. According to the hospital treating him, this new procedure is just complementary to the one he previously had, and that he will remain in intensive care. All right, everybody, meet SwagBot, a new AI robot hoping to make farming more efficient and environmentally friendly. Built in Australia, this robot can check the health, type, and density of the grass while also keeping an eye on the cow cells. SwagBot can herd cattle to the best pastures and then move them before the land is overgrazed. As one of the world's top beef exporters, SwagBot could help Australia overcome challenges such as labor shortages and poor pastures. It's the story of resilience, redemption, and the fight for a second chance. Day of the Fight is an evocative and gritty film that takes us into the story of a once celebrated boxer who's about to fight for the first time since leaving prison. Let's take a look.
It's like everything I've ever done in my life. Good, bad, everything. It just feels like this dream.
This is it. This is everything.
Joining us now in studio to discuss the film is Jack Huston, acclaimed actor, stepping into the director's chair for the very first time, and star of the film, Michael C. Pitt. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start with you. Your first time wearing the director hat, longtime actor. What made you decide you wanted to do the switch? And also, how did acting really influence you as a director?
I think I wasn't in any rush. I always wanted to direct, but it had to be the right project. And when I sort of came up with the idea for Day of the Fight, I knew instantly. I sound strange, but I heard Michael's voice in my head as I was coming up with this character, and it brought tears to my eyes. And then I pitched it to my wife, and it brought tears to her eyes. So I was like, oh, we might be onto something. I mean, being an actor, I think my major thing was I understood just what I had. Like, I was able to have Michael and Joe Pesci and Steve Buscemi and Ron Perlman and John McGartin and Nicolette Robinson, all these amazing actors. It was a beautiful process, you know, being able to sort of let these guys run and the relationships that they developed. It was just, yeah, it was sublime.
Michael, how did you take that and run with it, taking on the role of Mike Flanagan?
I just, you know, Jack fought really hard for me to do this project. And so I just fought really hard for him. That's it, really.
And speaking of fighting, how much training went into this role?
I mean, I've been training for years, and I didn't have as much time as I thought I was going to have, but a lot of training. I mean, I just trained as a boxer. I didn't train to be an underwear model, or it wasn't. We didn't train for, you know, for vanity.
Yeah. Right.
I trained as a boxer.
For technique and understanding.
To condition my body to do the fight. And the fight is about as close as we could get to it being real.
Yeah. These guys traded blows, you know? Like, it was amazing. We only had a day and a half to do this entire fight, so to have, you know, Michael in that condition, you need an actor willing to go the extra mile. I mean, not extra step, the extra mile, because it was so physically demanding to get it done in that time. You know, but with a small film like ours, there's no other option. So, you know, we were always fighting time, the clock, the money. And that's the amazing thing, is we still managed to get the performance. It's more than a performance, because it's the real thing when I watch it.
Jack, you talked earlier about just how much went into this, and you thought about doing it. And so to finally see your baby birthed, what does it mean to see the finished product?
I mean, when I say the amount of doors that were slammed in our face to begin with, you know, you couldn't count them. It was an uphill battle. You know, we're making something which we did consider was a piece of art. It was very personal to me. It was very personal, became very personal to Michael. It was, it's about life. It's a human story. It's films used to be made that inspired us to want to go to the cinema and have an experience and feel something. And we felt very strongly that those films weren't really around anymore, and that's tragic because we felt like those films were the reason we're here right now. They're the reason that made us want to do what we do. And it sort of informed so many of those early conversations and about what maybe it might inspire people that they've been putting off speaking to, or picking up the phone, or having that difficult conversation, because we actually don't ever know what day is going to be our last day. So maybe taking that seriously. I love the beauty of film. It's all about love. I mean, my first love is movies, and I hope and I think we made something quite beautiful, and people are taking it for that, and it's a real story. And it brings me to tears when I think that we got to make this movie. Your
passion comes through. Gentlemen, we thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you.
And
Linsey, thank you.
We want to let our viewers know Day of the Fight is in theaters now. Still to come here on Prime, meet the modern-day Clark Griswold. The spectacular tribute one Long Island man is paying to Christmas Vacation when we come back.
Audiences around the world have made Disney's Moana 2 a record-breaking global phenomenon. And now it's the #1 movie
I thought you'd be bigger.
in the world.
Nailed it!
Moana 2 is rich with emotions and visual wonders. It's a fantastic voyage and a joyous adventure the whole family will love.
You're so amazing!
Moana 2 is an exhilarating triumph.
Never change.
Disney's Moana 2, rated PG, now playing only in theaters.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
We heard what appeared to be gunfire. The former president rushed off the stage.
Hurricane Helene ravaging the coastline of Florida.
It's moving really fast, screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story.
As news breaks live.
We hear the small arms fire around us. We're right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
ABC News Live is there for you at the start of your day, all morning live.
ABC News Live, right there, as events unfold across the day. ABC News Live, breaking down the day's top stories.
Lyle and Eric Menendez, there is new evidence in this case.
ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
Are you going to build it back up?
And ABC News Live, lighting up the weekend.
With breaking news and all the latest pop headlines.
Happy Oscars Sunday.
A lot to watch for tonight.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
I tell you, Karen, you better get out of there. That place is going to turn into a hellhole.
She was a brave whistleblower, and then...
What happens to a spy when the people you're spying on find out you're a spy?
That young lady was murdered, as far as I'm concerned.
A story so compelling it was made into a movie starring Meryl Streep. Now, newly discovered tapes.
It's all here. Oh my God, we just walked into a Indiana Jones movie.
What happened to Karen Silkwood? The Lost Tapes, now streaming on Hulu.
Clark Griswold's short-lived glee when his Christmas lights turned on sure was a moment to remember in the classic movie Christmas Vacation. One homeowner on Long Island is currently channeling that same enthusiasm with his own home. Here's WABC's Stacey Sager.
A walk up to the Orsini family home here in Smithtown, and the nostalgia rings louder than the Christmas music, because homeowner Jason Orsini isn't just obsessed with Clark Griswold.
Until my kids come out and say, Daddy, I don't want it anymore, that's when I'll stop.
He may actually be Clark Griswold.
I fell off a roof, I broke a toe, I got sick, and I kept going on.
Because after all, it's just not easy stringing 25,000 twinkling lights. Orsini with a mock-up from the movie so realistic.
They were going to call the Smithtown Fire Department if I wasn't outside because they thought somebody was falling from the roof.
Orsini telling us his extravagant display is more than just a display. It's an experience. You live National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation here with 20 different mannequins, including Cousin Eddie, of course, in that infamous sewage scene. The attention to detail is extraordinary, down to the exact license plate on the Griswold's family station wagon, with that capacity to withstand anything.
Did you pull this tree up from the roots? I pulled up these trees from my backyard.
And
you can't have a Christmas Vacation theme and display without Cousin Eddie's RV.
So you tried a few times, though, to get there?
Yeah, I got scammed a couple of times from other people. I tried a guy from Pennsylvania, I tried a guy from Connecticut, I tried a guy from California.
But somehow, just like Clark in the movies, it all comes together for Jason. Hundreds are now showing up.
Popcorn, hot chocolate, giveaways, candy canes, moose mugs.
Jason's simply asking people to bring toys, which in true Griswold spirit, he's been donating to Stony Brook Children's Hospital, all because of a movie he happened to watch over and over when he was grounded as a kid.
It emotionally made me a better person and more spirited for Christmas.
Proving that life does imitate art, and that one's trivia, in this case, is another man's treasure.
In the Hollywood spirit there. Our thanks to Stacey for bringing us that. That is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo.